Hey guys, welcome back to the second ever Deli Podcast. And you guys seem to like the first one, and they're pretty fun to make, so I'll make another one. And so today on the agenda, as the title shows, we're gonna be doing the season one draft grades. So I think that's a pretty interesting concept idea. So I'm gonna go back to season one's draft, and we're gonna go over like which picks were good, which picks were bad, looking back. So I think it's gonna be pretty fun. I'm just scrolling down there now. Um, so I'll start with number one pick, which I know by heart. I think I probably know the whole draft. I don't know. I have pretty good memory. Stark was the number one pick, taken by the Cotton Pickers, and that's gotta give him an A for that. I mean, an A plus. I mean, yeah, I guess A plus. I mean, Xander Kane probably was the technical better pick, but with all that Carlos Stark did in his key role to the team, I mean, that's something. So without Carlos Stark, the Cotton Pickers wouldn't be where they are, and without Xander Kane, the Cotton Pickers wouldn't be where they are. So it definitely depends on all that. So yeah, Alabama's got a good QB, or had a good QB. They got another one now. They got Drew Pierce. So I'm still scrolling back. Okay, I'm finally here. So all right. So number one pick, Carlos Stark. We're giving it an A plus. Number two pick, Jacob Peters, two-time MVP winner. 99 overall quarterback. He was one of the first players to get up to 99. This has got to be another A plus pick right here. I mean, Jacob Peters, monster, and really without him, the Copperheads are nowhere close to where they are. Without Rex Butler either, but yeah, A plus for Jacob Peters. Third pick we have Connor Berger. So, where would I? I mean, he was really good when he was there, but he was probably the worst of the four starting quarterbacks. And he retired in 3 years. So overall, just the impact. Like, the first four picks, all quarterbacks, all have franchise impacts. Berger just not as much, but he is a Hall of Famer. So I think it would be, you can't give him worse than a B, but I'll give him a B, because he did only play a few seasons. He won a title. He got benched in his third season, so there are definitely some downsides to his career that there just aren't for the other guys. So the number four pick was Malcolm Leonard Jr. And as a player, this is an A plus pick. But for what he did for the Venom organization as a whole, I don't think it would be good to give him an A plus because he only ended up playing one season there, and he did get them their first career win with his 300 passing yard, 300 rushing yard game, which still has yet to be broken. So I'm gonna give him an A minus here because they got a ton of value back, but they didn't get Malcolm Leonard Jr. back because they ended up trading away Drew Pierce, which is really what trading Leonard Jr. opened up for him. So that's they should have kept Malcolm Leonard Jr. is overall the point that they should have done. The number five pick was Clark Morunde by the Venom again, and this is a bad pick for them. Morunde is a stud for the Canines, but he only ended up playing about 2 to 3 games for the Venom before demanding a trade and sitting out until the trade was complete. So just because of that, you kind of got to give him a low grade. So I'll give this one a C because he really did nothing for the team and they didn't get much value for him back. Let me check if I can find that trade real quick. Yeah, I see why he demanded a trade. So, yeah, he would officially sit out till he got traded. And then where's his trade? Sorry guys, I want to find this. I don't even see it. Oh, here it is. So they got a second round pick for Clark Morunde, future 99 overall, and John Clark, who was all right at the time. And he never really developed into much. But yeah, that getting a second round pick for that, I mean, just based on that, that's got to be a C. So with the number six pick, the Canines took Phil Swift, who is a really high overall, but his stats were never really up there because never really had a stud quarterback to go with him. Usually always has a solid supporting cast of receivers around him, so he's not the feature receiver ever. I mean, Clint Wright was pretty much used a lot. He's always the featured, but he's not like the only guy like some of these stud receivers that we see. So this is a good pick, but I think an A minus is fair. There were better people open at number six. Like you could have got a Xander Kane, a Paul Alberts the third. I mean, a Jackson Shelby the third, and Alan Knight. There were definitely better people here, but Phil Swift's obviously been a cornerstone of the Canines franchise since it's existed. and he's an identity of the team. Like it's hard to picture the Canines without Phil Swift. So, but an A minus is fair because there were better people on the board. But this was probably the most stacked draft class there was, and also the smallest. So, it's pretty interesting. So with the number 7 pick, the Copperheads took Jackson Shelby III. So, he was solid in his time with the Copperheads. He wasn't the best cornerback at first because he was really a project. He was 6'8", 230, not much ball skills, but just really athletic. And so, as you can see what he's developed into today, an absolute stud. But most of his solid years were with the Cotton Pickers after he demanded a trade from the Copperheads. So this is another one where there were better players on the board and that might have stayed with your team and stayed loyal, like maybe a Xander Kane or a Paul Alberts III. Or an Eric Alberts even might have been better. But they chose Jackson Shelby III, and he probably wasn't the pick here for their sake because he ended up leaving. So I'll give him a B minus with the selection because he had the right idea, but he did demand a trade. So with the 8th pick, Cotton Pickers took Xander Kane. Obvious A plus here. Don't need much explanation. Probably the GOAT of the league. And so yeah, I mean, what? 4-time Defensive Player of the Year maybe? Let me check. 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, 4-time Super Bowl champion. That's a lot. You can't get that from everyone, can you? So, monster, obviously. 9th pick, Paul Alberts III, another future Hall of Famer. He's a 99 now. This is an A-plus pick. In the 3rd round, grabbing a 99 overall, who was a huge impact player throughout his entire career. These are steals. I mean, Kane was... do I have the mock draft up? I mean, Kane was mock number 1 in every draft. And in a lot of drafts, I mean, no one really saw Paul Alberts III dropping. I mean, in the first mock draft, he was supposed to go in the pick he ended up going. But that's before everyone was even in there. Once people realized his value, he was projected at 4 and projected at 6. So, yeah, this is a steal, obviously. I mean, he's been a cornerstone of the secondary. He's played second fiddle to Kane most of the year, but he'd be a star anywhere else, like a main guy, a franchise piece. And he even won a Defensive Player of the Year, so definitely a monster there. Number 10 pick, Tyler Turner for the Copperheads. I mean, he just demanded trades all over the place, so he left the team, he came back to him, and then demanded a trade away from them again after demanding a trade to go specifically there. So this is a weird pick, but I mean, I'll give it a B minus because he is really good and he was really good in his time there. And if they kept him in year 1, if he didn't demand a trade in year 1, they probably wouldn't have won it all. But they didn't, and the Cotton Pickers took full advantage of that. I mean, they probably still would have won, to be fair. They had Stark, Kane, Alberts, Martello, so yeah, they were good. With the 11th pick, the Canines took Josh Alexander. Here's a weird player, a guy who was an absolute stud at the beginning of the season. And then you look at where he is now. He's like a 79 overall with the Golden Knights. Just playing average to bad football. Getting worse every year. He deleted his account. He was on the path. I think he peaked at like an 88 overall. He was such a key piece with the Canines. He's probably going to go to the Team Hall of Fame of them. I'm just going to guess. Because he had so many clutch interceptions and clutch pick sixes in the most crucial moments that it would be hard to imagine him like not being a Hall of Famer for the team, if not a league Hall of Famer. But we'll have to see because that was only a few years. But being that Berger played only a few good football years, and so did Alexander, I think he will make it because he really was a special player when he was a main guy in the league. And him and Tanner Panda were quite the combo. No team could match cornerbacks with the Canines. None. So at the 12th pick, the Venom took Jake Ledbetter, a guy who was an absolute key for their franchise throughout his entire tenure with them. He recently did leave the Venom, and I think he was traded to the Waves after the new owner came. But realistically, this is an A pick, and yeah, Ledbetter never developed into what most of the players in front of him, and even some of the ones behind him did. But Ledbetter is valued to the team. He's second, I think, in yards ever right now, and first in touchdowns. His impact to the team is crucial. The veteran leadership for a team that was all young players. He was the one guy from season 1 that really carried the Venom going forward. And he was just so crucial. When they needed big plays, it was Ledbetter. He was a huge factor as a receiver. and definitely a top tier player. So we'll give him an A. Then 13th, the Venom selected Eric Alberts. This was an awful pick. He demanded a trade. I don't think he ever played it down with him. Yeah, I think he played one game with them before being traded for a second round pick. So this is a D value. I mean, yeah, this is a D. He never really played with them. So 14th, Canines select Clinton Wright. This is an A plus pick. Going back to what the Ledbetter thing, it's just the value he provided and putting up similar numbers to Ledbetter, like overall wise. Wright was able to do more with his numbers. He was able to win. He was able to win awards. So that's why he's an A plus and Ledbetter's only an A. And overall, Wright was the better player on the better path. And Ledbetter started to fall off. So overall, Wright had the better career. He's an A plus. 15th, the Copperhead selected Alan Knight. A guy who was thought to be a Copperhead for life. And then he wasn't. Is a good way to put it. He signed with the Venom, got traded to the Monarchs, and the rest is history, as he's been all over the place, it seems. But Wright, I mean, he was so key in the first year. Great pick for the team. I'll give him a B+. He's one of the best receivers of all time. But it's hard to give him better than a B+ because of his overall, because he just wasn't a Copperhead for long. So if we're doing it all by player skill, I mean, a lot of these guys would be A+, but he just wasn't that good for his own team, so that's why it's low. Here we go, the first F of the draft, 16th overall, the Cotton Pickers are up, and they select wide receiver Carson Rogers, who actually quit the league in like 2 years or something. But he was never good. He was always awful. He ended up getting traded to the Canines for Martello, so I guess that's pretty good value, but he was awful. So this is an F value right there. He's never been anything good. He's finally doing a little bit for a really bad team. I don't even know what team, but he's getting at least targets, I guess. So, yeah, F value for Carson Rogers. Then, wide receiver, 17th. Cotton Pickers go with another wide receiver, and they get Edgar Tinjaka III, who was, again, really bad throughout the beginning of his career, but recently has been revitalized, kind of like in the Kyler Murray situation. Revitalized and become competent. I think he's an 81 overall, and that's where he's probably going to peak. But yeah, so this is a D pick. I mean, he was pretty bad for him. He was a fourth wide receiver for most of his career with them, and he's nothing special. And there were much better players available here. There was Ricky Martello, Tanner Panda, Rex Butler. So I mean, even Cyrus Walker. But you know, it just wasn't Tinjaka. Even Kyler Murray. I mean, he was the worst player left, and they took him here. So 18th, Jesus O'Dagod. For the team value, I'm going to give this pick an A- because he was so good at the beginning of his career until he went inactive. But he's an absolute stud, definitely team Hall of Famer for the Copperheads, maybe even a league Hall of Famer. He was a multiple, double-digit sack guy for most of his career. So, yeah, he's a beast. He leads all players in forced fumbles. I think Kane recently took him over. But, monster. 19th, we have the Canines. And they're selecting Tanner Panda, a guy that would be with them for a long time. This is an A+ pick again. Goes back to the team value. Whether Tanner Panda's always been he hasn't been a star yet, but he's developing into one for sure, and his numbers speak for themselves. He's the league leader in interceptions of all time. So there's not much more to it. Tanner Panda, absolute ball hawk. He gives up big plays sometimes, but he makes up for it with his big plays defensively. He's always been a cornerback number 2 until recently. Chase Gonzalez is going to be the cornerback 2, it seems, from now on. He's a beast too, but A+, Tanner Panda. Canines couldn't have made their championship runs without him. 20th overall, we have John Clark going to the Venom. This is an F pick. Clark was never really good. He was good with the Canines for a little bit until he completely fell off because he deleted his account. But he got traded in that trade with Clark Moroney for a second. This was just a bad pick. As you can see, a recurring trend. The Venom were not very good at picking. In fact, they didn't pick. I think I picked for them. Did I? No. The Venom picked. I picked for the Copperheads. I picked for one team because their guy wasn't there. I picked for the Copperheads. Well, I did a pretty good job skill-wise. But yeah, I picked for the Copperheads. Venom was there for the draft, and then he went active after everyone criticized him for taking offensive linemen. Yeah, it's tough. All right, 21st, Venom, Kyler Murray. this is an F pick for them. Kyler Murray, obviously a good player, but they didn't do too well with him because they played him for one game. He was all right, and then he sat out until he got his trade that he wanted. And they didn't get much value for him either, if I'm remembering correctly. Oh, I just scrolled up to the top by accident, or I glitched to the top. I have to go all the way back down to the bottom. Yeah, Kyler Murray, obviously a phenomenal player for the Cotton Pickers, for every team he's been on. I mean, he's been a key piece. He was a key piece of the Mad Dogs a few years ago. He almost got him to the playoffs, almost single-handedly. He really helped Trevor Hoffman develop into the quarterback he is today. So there's some keys there. He's been a good player. But let's see. Okay, I'm back down here. Where is Kyler Murray's trade? I see that he was traded for 2 third-round picks. So as you can see, not a lot of value there to be found for Kyler. That's an F pick. 22nd, Ricky Martello. This is one of the most forgettable trades for the Canines, a team that's had a really good franchise. But, I mean, the Canines got Carson Rogers in a first-round pick for Ricky Martello in a third-round pick. Obviously, the Cotton Pickers won the trade, and this is a pretty lopsided trade. No one really saw it coming, but Ricky Martello has been an absolute key wide receiver throughout his career. He's made plenty of deadly plays throughout his career, including a bunch against the Canines, always making sure they regret that trade. So the pick over here, I'm going to give it a D because he never played a snap for the Canines, but they did get a first-round pick for him, which is pretty valuable overall. So I'll give him a D value for this pick. 23rd was Cyrus Walker. He got into by the Copperheads. He got into constant fights with his teammates, so he was never a good fit there. And then he went to the Cotton Pickers, and there was that whole, he got traded for Dontavius Stoops so he could take over, and Stoops was never that good either. And now he's back with the Cotton Pickers. So Walker's had a roller coaster of a career, to be fair. But it looks like he's finally found his own, looking to come back and win another Offensive Player of the Year. So, yeah, he tore his ACL in the second year, I remember. But yeah, Walker's back. He was drafted as a wide receiver. You know, he's become a running back throughout his career. It's just a better fit for him. He's a power back who can receive, a rare combo. So he's been good. 24th, Cotton Pickers take Reed Shelby. I'm going to give this pick a B. Oh, did I give Walker a grade? That's like a C because he just never played for him much. Reed Shelby, got to give him a B. Yeah, he's been a franchise cornerstone and a special teamer for the Cotton Pickers, but there was Rex Butler open. And one thing the Cotton Pickers struggled with the whole season 1 was that second receiver to counter the 2-star cornerbacks of the Canines, and it almost cost them the game. But if they could have had Rex Butler and Ricky Martello, that would have been pretty sick. But they didn't, so Reed Shelby it was. So it's not because Shelby's a bad player, but they took a kicker over what was Jacob King, Rex Butler, and Jim Leonard. All players who ended up being better than the kicker because his value as a kicker. But it's not a bad pick because he has been with the team his whole career, so that's something. So I don't want to take it all away from him, so I think a B is a fair grade. With the 25th pick, the Cotton Pickers selected Jim Leonard. They ended up cutting him in year 1 and letting him hit the market as a free agent. This pick, I'm going to give him a C+ because he ended up being a pretty solid quarterback until he went inactive. And recently has fallen off a cliff for the Marauders. So, yeah, he's been really bad. And Tatum Turner has recently taken over a sorry job just overall-wise. So, yeah, C+ is fair. He was good in his prime. He threw for a lot of yards, always turnover happy. He had a few key games with the Cotton Pickers where he was really good when he was going to bench Stark. But, yeah, this is a C+. Rex Butler, 26 overall. Copperhead for life. Imagine getting with the second to last pick, or the third to last pick technically, because Clark Leah joined later. We'll call it the second to last pick of the entire draft. Imagine getting a cornerstone player who might questionably be the best non-quarterback in the league history. I mean, yeah, Xander Kane's insane, but skill-wise, 4 Defensive Player of the Years for Kane, but 2 Offensive Player of the Years for Butler. He's led the league in receiving almost every single year. It's been pretty close. But yeah, he's not Xander Kane for sure. That's not true, but he is probably the best non-quarterback offensive player, if not skill-wise, the best offensive player in total. I mean, wide receivers, no non-quarterback has won MVP yet, but Rex Butler makes quite the case, to be fair, with some of the insane years he's had. So 27th overall, of course, Mr. Irrelevant, I guess. Because, again, Clark Lea, 28th, joined, and he ended up having a solid career with the Venom, but, never really that good. That'd be like a C pick, because it was the last player left. But for King, I'm going to give this pick an A. I know he was the only pick available for them to take. So, to be fair, they didn't really have a choice. But it is a good pick. They got a guy who would end up leading them to a Super Bowl in the future, and if you're getting that with the last pick, that's a good last pick. So, Jacob King definitely gets an A. He's been a solid running back for him, solid quarterback for him, and ended up developing into like a solid player, having a solid career, even though the weirdest set of strengths and weaknesses I've ever seen in my life. So props to him for making a career out of it. And he's probably going to get elected into the Hall of Fame, seeing how the Hall of Fame committee elects. So I would be shocked if he doesn't become a Hall of Famer with the, 3 Super Bowl trophies? Right? I think he has 3. He has at least 2. So, I hope you guys enjoyed draft grades. I think this was a pretty fun topic to go over. We're still not even done with this Carlos Stark footage, so I guess next time we do this, we'll finish it up. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Peace.